Kusrini is from Universitas Amikom Yogyakarta. She will deliver her paper about nutrition and lifestyle recommendation for patient recovering from COVID-19 in Nusa Tenggara Barat Province. Bu Kusrini, the floor is yours, please.
Yes, I will present live. So I will share screen.
Okay, you will share your screen, Pak Jo.
Wait a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you for giving the opportunity to me, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kusrini Manisa Rahma. I'm a student from Informatics, Magister of Informatics from Amikom University Yogyakarta. Today, I will present you about our paper entitled Nutrition and Lifestyle Recommendations for Patients Recovering from COVID-19 in Nusa Tenggara Barat Province. This paper is made by me along with my two colleagues, Mr. Rizky Mawan and Mr. Haryanto, and also with support with Mrs. Kusrini. Okay, in this presentation, I will explain about introduction, and then our proposed method, and the last one is conclusion. Introduction will not explain today, but we found a research that COVID-19 can cause a malnutrition, and the signs of the malnutrition are reducing appetite, decreasing energy in the body, impaired absorption of nutrient, and also low body mass. And as you can see here, the nutrient most needed for COVID-19 patient to reduce malnutrition risks are energy, protein, fat, carbohydrates, and fibers, vitamin, mineral, and omega-3 fatty acid. So not only patient in intensive care and isolation room, recovered patient also need balanced nutrition to maintain endurance to reduce the risk of getting new coronavirus again. So providing proper nutrition and lifestyle based on background and condition of each recovered patient is very helpful in the process of restoring the patient immune system. On the other hand, the West Nusa Tenggara food security during this pandemic is predicted high based on average per capita expenditure for units. Because of those potentials, we will develop the prototype of decision-making system or decision support system that will help the nutritionists and medical personnel in this province to make a nutritional and lifestyle recommendation of COVID-19 recovered patient in West Nusa Tenggara with top 6 method with 5 criteria: age group, vegetable consumption, fat consumption, salt and sugar consumption, and exercise as recommended for recovered patients. And let's start in next chapter is proposed method. Okay, in this slide, I will explain about how the steps of making the prototype. First steps are the determination of problem and literature review, with reviewing another paper that related with COVID-19 related problem solving and then decision making method. Next, we collect the data, and next we prepare the tools, and we use a XMPP system with PHP language programming and MySQL database system. And then we design the system with 2 diagrams, data flow diagram and entity relationship diagram. Next, we make a prototype and then we test. And the last one is evaluation. For data collection process, we collect the data. We collected data from many sources, and the first data source is come from COVID-19 task force in Nusa Tenggara Barat province. We collect almost 400 recovered data. And the data came from April 14, 2020 until 8 June June 8, 2020. And next source is Indonesian data recommendation we get from Minister of Health Regulation number 28 in article number 28 in 2019. And the last one is nutrition alternative data is also came from Minister of Health Regulation, but in number 41 in 2014 about balanced nutrition guidelines. After we got all data, we arrange it into a data set. In system design, we made two diagrams. First is data flow diagram, and second is entity relationship diagram. As you can see here, there is a context diagram or level 0, but actually we make the data flow diagram or DFT up to 2 levels. And the process contained in this diagram is designed are input criterion data, input criteria value data, input alternative data or recommendation data, input patient data, calculation data, and the last one is displaying results. So this system is not only for medical personnel, but also is also we show into the task force in this province. And the second diagram, we make entity relationship diagram, and there is 5 tables, and 5 tables in tab underscore criteria, tab detail criteria, tab underscore topsis, tab underscore alternative to store the recommendation data, and then tab underscore patient for store the patient data. And this table, as I can point here, is tab underscore topsis for storing the criteria and recommendation data. For decision-making process itself, we use a topsis or technique for order of preference by similarity to ideal solution to find optimal alternative with the shortest distance from positive ideal solution or PIS and the farthest distance from negative ideal solution or NIS. Generally, the step topsis algorithm are normalized. First, we normalize decision matrix, and then we calculate and the PIS and NIS. And next, they determine the distance between PIS and NIS. And step number 4 is compute the relative nearest index of each alternative of positive ideal solution. And the last one is rank alternative from the most significant index of alternative. The bigger the value of index, the best alternative that we can get. Okay, after we make a design, we system design, we also design the prototype flowchart to use to prototype project. And the point here, there is a input process like enter criteria name, criteria detail, patient data, and alternative or recommendation data. And then we enter the previous data. Next, after we input the data, we calculate, we conclude a topsis process, and the first calculate the criteria weights, and then create a normalized matrix, and then we create a normalized weight matrix and calculate the ideal value of positive and negative solution, and calculate of this distance, and then we calculate the preference value and ranks the preference value based on a largest value. And the last step is show nutrient usage pattern and recommendation. And this is a testing result. For the result, we conclude 2 testing mode. The first is functional testing and assessing the suitability of relation and table structure. And the second is logical truth testing. For functional testing and assessing, we check if the prototype can work properly as designed by ERD, TFT, and Flowchart. And also we assessing the suitability of relation and structure of table between ERD and prototypes tables. For functional testing, as you can see here, there's a result is user interface, and the first step to accessing the program is add the criteria data. We add the criteria data and we show here add the criteria name and weights. And the next step is enter the detailed criteria data. First, we enter the criteria name from criteria table, and then we add the information and also we get a value. Next, we input alternative or recommendation data and patient data. And then this process can be done randomly and can be input initially because it doesn't affect the previous process. And then we make the matrix value with a pattern name or or a patient name, alternative of recognition name criteria, and also the value. But there is a date from text box. Why we use the text box? Because it made more than more than times to checking the recommendation. Is can be one more times. Even okay. After we enter the data, when processing process button, the data will be set in the health of this table to continue the next process. And the last process is showing results. And in this case, we as you can see here, we make a topsis data, and the largest is second alternative and A2, and with 0.65 approximately. And this process will show one page calculation result of the process. But in calculation data input process, one criteria and one patient will be repeated as many times as the criteria multiplied by existing criteria and needed more time to process. As a result, as functional testing result, all MIOT function already contained and the prototype is worked properly based on flowchart and DFD design, but in the user interface in data input metric value, there are no edit and delete data pattern, so the data must be edited in database directly. For assessing data structure suitability, as you can see here, in the early we saw 5 tables, but in this prototypes prototypes database, there's a name 6 table, and this user table for storing the user data, and type underscore topsis is there is a ID or as primary key in as new attribute, and this type of structure can be categorized with a good value with a weight of 3 on the table structure suitability. Okay, and the second test is logical truth testing. Logical truth testing is to checking if the prototype result is matched from a manual calculation, and we use Excel to perform manual calculation. And in this prototype, the criteria and detailed criteria can be entered dynamically according user requirements. And you can see here, we use a table, we'll use criteria and weight data with example weight data. And then this is a example grading and criteria value data. And then we did a manual calculation or preference scoring value in Excel. As you can see here, there's it's too small to see, but the preference scoring value and preference value is actually same. So the preference value the prototype result can be accurate, can be show accurate results. Okay, from conclusion, first time, okay, for conclusion, for function and process, content and design are worked properly and prototype, but there's some weakness here in in the magnetic assignment form, then no edit and delete button. And then in the process of inputting matrix value, one criteria and one patient will be repeated as many times as the criteria multiplied by existing criteria and requires more time to process. But also with the weakness, the TOPS method can be used to find measure recommended recommended value and nutrition patient and lifestyle of recovered patient. And based on test result, this method, yes, we can explain that this method can show accurate result. Okay, that's all of our presentation, and we glad to hear your comments and your question about this paper, so we can improve it in the future research. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Bu Kusrini. Okay, you have explained the detailed design, implementation until the testing, and I will invite the participant to ask Bu Kusrini about her research, please. Is there any question? Not yet, so I will ask you, Bu Kusrini. Okay. Bu Kusrini, you have validated the functional and logical result, right?
Yes.
But I don't know. What about your user acceptance? Did you do the test, or maybe you have planned to do that test?
We don't. Okay, we apologize. We didn't user acceptance yet because in this province still spreading COVID-19, but we can we cannot do research user acceptance test, but because it's restricted to enter the staff room, but based on calculation result, based on testing result, we make sure that this prototype can be show the accurate results.
Okay, thank you for your explanation, Bu